Harshin agus fáilteiribh tudasile go Speak Gaelic. Welcome back to Speak Gaelic. We're past the halfway point in this first series of programmes, and I hope you're happy with the progress you've made so far. We're going to talk about work and various forms of employment in this episode, paid and unpaid. Maybe you work in a scoil, a school, scoil, or in a boo, a shop, boo. Or maybe you're like me, I gopad iad mo cheann hain. Iad mo cheann hain is another useful expression that sometimes gets a bit lost in translation. Literally, it means on my own head. But I gopad iad mo cheann hain simply means that you're working for yourself, self-employed. I have another phrase for you as well. Sé upper lá togalach. That means getting started is a day's work in itself. Wise words, especially for all of us who are learning a language. Sé upper lá togalach. So let's start by having a look at what's coming up. Ask where people work and what it is they do. Calum Maclean delves into an often overlooked industry. Say where you work. And we'll meet Gaelic learners Audrey and Davy Paterson from Argyll and find out who encouraged who to start learning. There's enough there to keep us busy. It's time to speak Gaelic. Uillt sibh deisial? Nach tá sig sin. Let's start. The Gaelic word for work is opad. Work. Opad. To ask what work someone does, we say Jay and nopad a hacket. Or to be polite, Jay and nopad a hakiv. What job do you have? Jay and nopad a hacket or Jay and nopad a hakiv. Now to answer that, I think we'll start with an easy one. The Gaelic for a teacher is teacher, teacher, teacher. If you're a teacher, you would say sé teacher a hunnam. I'm a teacher. Sé teacher a hunnam. And you'll find a lot more occupations in the Learn Gaelic dictionary, which you can access from our website, and where you'll also be able to listen to sound files to help with your pronunciation. Of course, many people aren't in paid employment. If you want to say you don't have a job, you'd use Chan you lopad acum. I don't work. Chan you lopad acum. You might be retired, in which case you could say Lik mi yam mogriach. I'm retired. Lik mi yam mogriach. And if you're a stay-at-home parent or a carer, you could say Ha mi ag an Taigh. I'm at home. Ha mi ag an Taigh. Let's listen to this conversation about work and see if you can follow the occupations being discussed.
Martin va, Emma. How va bria on? Come at how.
Martin va, Johnny. How you doing? Ba mi a gopper. Hosh mi a gopper ik mi an eiche.
Tien op a hacket, Emma.
Shen nurse hanum. I will op a racket heen, Johnny.
Haniel op a rackum.
Hello, Emma. Hi, Johnny. I will shook a man, you.
Hamish a ski.
Hamish a gama. Come at how heen.
Hamik a soondag. Gerig me sheer uren se vatting. 3 meer son leer. I guess can you me ski?
Well. Shen nurse han Emma. I will op a racket heen.
Ha op a rackum. She offer sparsha hanum. I will op a racket she, Johnny.
Haniel op a rackum. Ach.
Oh. Op it. Cherry.
Oh, Emma Voch. How go ski?
Hash heb kjaars, ha mi ski. Cheery, Johnny.
Did you recognise any of the occupations mentioned? We heard Shawnee asking Emma, Jay and upper a hacket. What's your job? Jay and Nuppa the Hackett. And she replied, She nurse a hunnam. I'm a nurse. She nurse a hunnam. Emma then asked Shonny, Vil Uppa the Pain. Do you have a job? Vil Uppa a Pain. And he said, Chanil Uppa I don't have a job. Chanil Uppa Later on, Shonny also asked Michael if he had a job. Michael told him that he did. Ha Uppa I do have a job. Ha Uppa And his job? She officer spars a hunnam. I'm a sports officer. She officer spars a hunnam. So to tell someone what it is that you do, you say she and your occupation followed by a hunnam. In my case, I can tell you that she presenter a hunnam. We'll look at this in more detail later on, but for now, let's listen to these phrases again.
Taynuilt but a hacket Emma.
She nurse a hunnam. Vil Gàidhlig, Johnny.
Haniel Uppa
Hello, Emma. Agus Johnny. Uillt you command you?
Hamish a ski.
Hamish Gama. Come how hain.
Ha mi ceumannan. Gàidhlig MacPhàdruig sa bhruidhinn, bruthaichean. Agus can you me ski?
Well. She nurse a hunnam Emma. Vil Uppa
Ha Uppa she officer spars a hunnam. Vil Uppa she Johnny.
Haniel Uppa Ach,
Oh. Uppa. Cherry.
If you'd like to meet other Gaelic learners like yourself, there are details on our website about language classes you can join. And you'll also hear from other learners about their experiences of learning Gaelic in our podcasts, which you can download from BBC Sounds. Now, I get to have some company talking to some of the many people who have taken the language to their hearts. And I don't just have one guest with me today, but two, Audrey and Davy Paterson from Argyll. But before we start talking, let's find out a bit about them.
Is Mr. Audrey MacPhàdruig. I'm Audrey Paterson.
Agus is Mr. Daibhidh MacPhàdruig, Davy Paterson.
As in posta, is as in bhruidhinn Taynuilt and an eachdraidheil. I work in Lorna Islands Hospital in Abhainn as the anaesthetics and recovery sister and as an advanced nurse practitioner in chronic pain management.
I'm a retired police officer and I'm now working at Abhainn High School as a classroom assistant. I enjoy gardening. Earlier this year I installed these raised beds which help the plants grow. So far I've planted Glasgow, vegetables, ceumannan, strawberries, bhruidhinn, herbs, agus florican, flowers.
When Davy's working in the garden, I like to come out here and read a book. Learngaelic I first started learning Gaelic when Davy was posted to Islay in the late 80s.
I started learning Gaelic when Audrey and I joined our local choir, Coinnichidh Taynuilt. Singing helps us to use our Gaelic more often, and we're going to sing a duet now. Buinneranich, and it's cutting bracken along the shores of Loch Etter.
Cuimhin orn ag dúnsaithe agus a séin an sa Gaelic.
Sláinte.
Well, Audrey agus Davy, fáil siadh to Speak Gaelic. Cimar a haisibh?
Oh, hacuma,
Hacuma.
Now, Audrey, can you tell us a wee bit about how you first started learning Gaelic?
My father was a native speaker, but my mother wasn't. It was never used in the house. I did, when I was very young, sing in the mods. I really started learning when we moved to Islay. And I started doing night classes there with Mary Carmichael, Gàidhlig. And yeah, that was just the start of my interest when I joined Portellen Gaelic Choir as it was at the time, yeah.
And Davy, you started learning after Audrey. What got you there, as it were?
That's correct. Well, to be honest, I had no great interest in Gaelic, even when we lived in Islay. And it was only when we moved to Taynuilt and we joined the local Gaelic choir, Coinnichidh Gaelic in Uillt, and started singing at mods. And I thought I better learn some Gaelic and find out what I'm actually singing about.
Yeah.
So that's what really got me going, the Gaelic choir.
And Davy, you're obviously interested in music. Do you find that singing in a choir has really helped you with the language?
Absolutely, especially the pronunciation. I mean, I can look at a song and maybe not know what every word means, but I can have a fair stab at pronouncing the words. So that's really got me interested now in learning Gaelic.
And it's amazing, actually, how many singers have great vocabulary through songs.
Yeah. The same words keep appearing in songs all the time, don't they?
Yeah. We can do love, we can do heartbreak.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. We know Uillt very, very well. Now, Audrey, do you find some aspects of Gaelic trickier than others?
I think I find it harder to speak in a natural way, Gàidhlig. And then I think the way I was taught languages in school, because that's my age, you know, we learnt it very grammatically when we were doing French, German, all sorts of things. And I think I read and write better than I can speak. So that's what I really want to concentrate on now, is getting some more córag, you know, a bit more exposure to the spoken, the natural spoken Gaelic.
And that's so common. Learners are always saying they find it much easier to read and write than actually it is to speak. Have there been any breakthrough moments in your learning when you thought, oh, I'm getting this?
Yes, that's interesting. I felt there were a couple of humps, really. I think when I got into intermediate, I felt I'd got over a wee hump there and things, I was starting to get the gist of a lot of the conversations. And then recently, I've just finished doing toirt with Moore, and I feel, again, I've got over another hump, nearly there, you know, I just need to get a bit more exposure to the spoken word.
Yeah, and everyone will understand that. It is just keeping going. Now, very important question. Do both of you have a favourite Gaelic word or phrase? Davy, we'll come to you first.
It's simple. I love the word scunneal. It means brilliant, as you know. And I think it's such a positive word. I just love saying it, scunneal.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with it.
Great word, great word.
And what about you, Audrey?
Oh, well, I was recently speaking to my cousin, Katie Campbell, about phrases particularly to do with Lassie, because that's where my dad was from. And she gave me a very nice one that she got from Calum Don, and it's Yeich a henner, vantata scadan le fork. A bit of an insult, really, talking about someone who's pretending to be Gaelach and they're not really so Gaelach. So, because their grandpa ate their potatoes and herring with a fork instead of with a... Yeah. So
Fork's always a giveaway. Well, tafel go more. Thank you so much. And ceumannan, keep up your Gaelic learning. Now, let's join our very own explorer, Calum Maclean, Calum Maclean, who is out and about somewhere in Scotland. And given we've been talking about work and different occupations, I wonder if he's actually doing some work this time.
The Clyde, Chluaidh in Gaelic, has always been an important part of the history of Glasgow, and particularly here in Govan, Ballygowan, at one point the centre of a shipbuilding industry. But who built the ships? Well, people came from all over the country, and in fact, it wasn't unusual to hear Gaelic spoken in the shipyards. So, I named this boat Bata. Bata is, of course, the Gaelic for boat. but maybe that should be long, which is technically the Gaelic for ship. So, I name this ship Longbatha. Longship. You're welcome. There was once 19 shipyards on Abhainn Chluaidh employing thousands of workers, Loch Oprach in Gaelic. Today there are only 2, one downriver and this one, Fairfield Shipyard. The former Fairfield Shipbuilding and Engineering offices aren't used by the company anymore though, but this A-listed building has been restored to provide a heritage centre for the community. I met up with Pat Cassidy to find out a bit more.
It's said that in 1913 there was the equivalent of a boat launched in the Clyde every day. That's colossal. Around that time, this yard alone would have had 9,500 people working in it, just Fairfield. On the Clyde, directly employed, there would probably have been about 70,000 people. Fairfield was the nerve centre of shipbuilding. Most families in this community worked or had family members working in the shipyard, so they had a very strong affiliation to the yard. So this was more than just a vacant building. This was a sign of Govan's fast deterioration. It was important as a flagship, I think, to say no, Govan's on the way back.
There were a number of safes in the building, although they didn't contain, as you might expect, erigate, money, but rather important documents, and maybe most importantly of all, the plans for the ships. They were fire resistant and very secure. It's open. It fits. And this is the boardroom, the nerve centre of the shipyard, where decisions were made and where those who wore these hats could be found. You can almost smell the erigate, the money in here. Or is that cigar smoke? It was a very different world to the world of the Loch Oprach, the workers out in the cold and the wet of Ballygowan. Nice chairs too. It is often said Glasgow made the Chluaidh and the Chluaidh made Glasgow. Glaswegians joined by thousands, not only from the Highlands of Scotland, but from England, Ireland and beyond, building ships, working on ferries and dredging the river. I know a few islanders who are as wide as the Clyde, but that's another story.
Morning Taigh a Calum. Thank you, Calum. I'll leave your last remark where it is, but what a fantastic look behind the scenes. How interesting would it have been to have been part of that workforce? She oper chrua yavan gita. It was hard work though. And as a result of Calum's own oper chrua, we know that Chluaidh is the Clyde, Loch Oprach is the workforce, and erigate is money. Erigate. You can listen again to all the vocabulary Calum shared with us on our website. And to keep up with his exploits, make sure you follow us on all of the usual social media platforms. And please get in touch and tell us about your own learning. We'd love to hear from you. But now, Uillt Jaishal, I think it's time to speak Gaelic and learn some more words and phrases you can use to discuss work. Do you recognise the phrase ca vil, meaning where? Ca vil. You can use it to ask someone where they work. Ca vilu gopper. Where do you work? Ca vilu gopper. Here are some answers to that question using the phrase ha mi gopper. I work, or I am working. Ha mi gopper. If you work in a school, ha mi gopper awn yn skol. I work in a school. Ha mi gopper awn yn skol. Or maybe you want to say that you work in a shop. Ha mi gopper awn yn boo. I work in a shop. Ha mi a gopad aun an boo. Now, remember, to be able to tell someone what your job is, it's she, and whatever it is you do, followed by a hunnam. If you're a teacher, you would say, she teacher a hunnam. I'm a teacher. She teacher a hunnam. Or in my case, she presenter a hunnam. I'm a presenter. She presenter a hunnam. And from earlier, I'm self-employed. Ha mi a gopad iad ma cheann hain. Let's listen to this next conversation and see if you can recognise the occupations and the workplaces being discussed.
Hello, Hamish. Evilu tang ginju?
Hello, Andra. Chanel.
Evilu baraket.
Ha opadakem. She driver a hannem. Ha mi driver glari.
Evel opadaketain.
Ha? She porlis a hanam.
Catch a velu gupeth.
Ha mi a gupad out se valle.
Hello, Katrine.
Evel opadaket.
Ha opadakem. Ha mi gopad an Jew.
She sahan ya hell. She no bada hacket.
She njach freely a hannem.
Scatch vilu a gupad.
Ha mi gopad an cafe. Femi mi falif. Cheery. Oh, hello. Cheery.
Ha Katrina gupad an Jew. She njach freely a hintje.
Evel usse trangen Jew Alice.
Ha mi she trang a hula la.
Nach e teacher a hunnad.
She teacher a hannem. Ha mi a check is kjol. Idir sahanya, ha mi a check is kfiel.
Catch vilu a gupad.
Ha mi a gopad an sandachi akem.
Did you recognise some of the phrases we heard there? Andra asked Seamus, Evil opedhaket. Do you have a job? Evil opedhaket. And Seamus replied, She driver a hunnam. I'm a driver. She driver a hunnam. Andra then told everyone, She polis a hunnam. I'm a police officer. She polis a hunnam. When Seamus asked him, Ca vilu a gopeth? Where do you work? Ca vilu a gopeth? Andra replied and told them all, Ha mi a gopeth aun se valle. I work in the town. Ha mi a gopeth aun se valle. Further on in the conversation, Andra asked Katrina, Jay and Nuppe the Hacket. What job do you have? Jay and Nuppe the Hacket. And she replied, Shenyach frihaldi hunnam. I'm a waitress. Shenyach frihaldi hunnam. Let's listen to some of that conversation again. And remember, you can watch all of the conversations in this series supported by bilingual transcriptions on our website.
Hello, Hamish. Evilu tang ginju?
Hello, Andra. Chanel.
Evilu baraket.
Ha opadakem. She driver a hannem. Ha mi driver glari.
Evel opadaketain.
Ha? She porlis a hanam.
Catch a velu gupeth.
Ha mi a gupad out se valle.
Hello, Katrine.
Evel opadaket.
Ha opadakem. Ha mi gopad an Jew.
She sahan ya hell. She no bada hacket.
She njach freely a hannem.
To say it's a something in Gaelic, like it's a nice house, we say Shithy snockahown. Aun means in it or in him, and we can use the same phrase for he's a. Shitdunya snockahown. He's a nice man. We can also use this to talk about nationality. She Eidhanachahown. He's an Irishman. And to talk about jobs. sé polis a hawn. He's a police officer. To say she's a, we use inche, in her. Sé polis a hinche. Or unum, in me, to say I'm a. Sé polis a hunum. Agus sé presenter a hunumsa. I'm a presenter. Sé presenter a hunumsa. And if you're looking for more resources to help support your learning and to expand on some of the points we've covered in this episode, you'll find these online and also in our podcasts on BBC Sounds. Well, Hashinéad Opeth Chruaigh Abhainn Chluaidh. We've worked hard today. But before we finish, let's take a quick look at some of the words and phrases we've covered. Taynuilt. What job do you do? Taynuilt. To tell someone what your job is, you say sé, and whatever it is, followed by a hunum. For example, to tell someone you're a teacher, sé teacher a hunum. I'm a teacher. Sé teacher a hunum. Or sé polis a hunum. I'm a police officer. Sé polis a hunum. We also learned how to ask Ca bhfuilú a gcupad? Where do you work? Ca bhfuilú a gcupad? And to answer, Ha mi a gcupad ann an bú. I work in a shop. Ha mi a gcupad ann an bú. Vashin trang. We were busy. Vashin trang. And if you'd like to keep busy until our next episode, why not catch up with all of the conversations about Speak Gaelic on our social media platforms, where you'll meet lots of other like-minded learners. Until the next time then, cheery and drasta.